But David passed, and in part, his passing, he received a transplant, and unbeknownst to him, his sister, who was the one who had provided the bone marrow, had a virus, Epstein-Barr, I believe, and that ultimately he became infected, and it killed him. And David was unique. There was only one David, and the bioethicists in the room will tell you that that was a very unique situation, and it was never really repeated. Isolation, of course, is critical for someone who is so immunocompromised. But that specific situation was one that everyone around the world learned from and heard from. And sorry, I was just emailing with Caroline, his mom. When you're playing the odds and you're looking at that, ours is a community that has a lot of hope and a lot of joy because of the lessons learned over the decades. When you come to our national conference, of the 350 diagnoses that are under that umbrella, the vast majority have some sort of a treatment. We're a fun group to hang out with. In fact, I'm at 41 years of age. I can no longer keep up with the others. Some of them are going to be hitting the bar after I'm just exhausted, and because they have a lot to celebrate. And when we get together, there's some commiseration, but there's a lot of celebrating. But what has been learned over the decades has been amazing. And basically, as you know, with the body of literature, with science, what one person learns from a success or a failure is going to go and to inform what the next person down the line does. And with primary immunodeficiency diseases, especially with something like SCID, we have learned so much, and now so many of the families who are grappling with this, when they find that their child has a diagnosis of SCID, what happens today is so different than what had happened years or decades ago. One of my friends, Heather, had the first in utero bone marrow transplant. It was kind of a whole new world that was going to be opened up because of need, because of what had happened in her family and what they knew was going to happen to their son, and that this seemed like the best option. It was a risk. It was a roll of the dice. Nothing like this had ever been done before. But he's doing so well. But he's reaching the end of his runway. He had his transplant, and he's in his very early 20s, and he's seeing his numbers drop, and they're dropping very quickly. And so what he is doing is preparing for gene therapy. And I'm talking the right group here in this room. A lot of other people kind of get freaked out when they hear about that because they've heard some of the ups and downs, or they hear and consider the science fiction of it. But his family and our community are very well acquainted with gene therapy.